Hello, this is Monty Puck, and you're listening to Straight Puckin' Around. Today we're talking about the September 21st, 2025 preseason game, in which the Maple Leafs won 4-3 over the Ottawa Senators. A bit of a rematch from the most recent playoffs, in which the Leafs won in round one against the Sens. Obviously, the animosity is always going to be there a little bit when it comes to the Battle of Ontario. So there was some violence, some nice goals, some good plays, but at the end of the day, it's an exhibition game, and the majority of these guys are not going to be in the lineup, especially for the Leafs. They had almost no players that are even in contention for a roster spot. Senators had a lot more actual roster players in this game. Yarncrow opened the scoring with a nice goal, very slick. He just walked in, made it look easy. Later on, we had a nice setup by David Kampf to Nick Robertson, beautiful one-timer. Again, I mean, this guy, you can call him whatever you want, the preseason merchant, the useless goal merchant. I mean, this man scores whenever, it doesn't matter. And I really hope for Robertson's sake that he gets a good chance this year and that he has a breakthrough year and finally can prove himself once and for all at the NHL level. At this point, I was starting to just think, poor Allmark. He's clearly just, having a rough go. First game back, obviously, from the offseason. And then on the power play, we had a nice point shot by William Villeneuve, and it went in. Originally, I thought this was a Travis Boyd deflection, but the goal was credited to Villeneuve, and I rewatched a bunch of replays, and it does not appear to redirect off of Boyd. So I do think it is a Villeneuve goal, and that's what they called. Early in the second, Zach McEwen took a big shot that was blocked by Grew, and I mean that was point blank. That looks pretty painful, I'm not gonna lie. Then we had, fortunately, the first goal for the Senators. Ridley Gregg, big Leafs hater, notably had a run-in with Morgan Riley after taking a slap shot in on empty net. I think both guys were in the wrong in that situation. You don't take a slap shot on an empty net, but you don't cross-check a guy in the back of the head pretty much no matter what he does, unless he cross-checked your teammate in the head or something. And even then, I mean, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. So I don't even know if that would be the best way to handle that situation. So Greg gets the goal. Then there was a big hit on Michael Pezzetta by Tyler Kleven. Kleven had an amazing season last year in terms of stepping up his game and proving that he belongs in the NHL level. And I'm a big fan of him. Even though I'm not, I don't cheer for the Senators, but I can appreciate a good player, and I like Kleven's game. I like a big defenseman that can lay the body, and he gives effort. You can see that he's fighting for his position, and he's really impressed me over the last year and a bit. He also did unfortunately leave this game early due to injury. I do not know of what his status is next. I hope he's okay, though. I mean, you never want to see an injury. So he did take an awkward crash into the boards, which resulted in him leaving. And then head coach Travis Green said after the game he did not have an update. And that is the last that we have heard on it. So best wishes to him, and I hope he gets well soon. So he had a big hit on Pezzetta there, and Pezzetta is obviously a tough guy as well. And then Marshall Rafai, who I love Marshall Rafai when it comes to just preseasons. I think he got into one game last year for the Leafs. But, I mean, just a bit of a warrior. This man does not care. He played in the NHL a couple of years ago. He played 2 games. I just wanted to make sure because I believed that he had played for the Leafs in a regular season game. Tyler Kleven with a big hit on Michael Pezzetta, and then Marshall Rafai takes this opportunity to take a run at Ridley Gregg. Batherson then wrestles Rafai, and David Perron comes diving in. Kind of reminded me a little bit of that between the Bruins and the Blues a couple years ago. I think it was in the playoffs. It was probably that 2019 Stanley Cup final. And when Torrey Krug came running and flung himself. But anyways, Batherson wrestles Rafai as David Perron dives in, and then Pezzetta attacks Greg Ridley Gregg on Rafai's behalf since he's a little preoccupied. We then had a nice late power play goal by Matthew Barbolini. I really like his name, so I really hope he has a good career so that I can keep saying Barbolini. Now we had a very interesting player score for the Senators with Arthur Kaliev scoring a good shot. We don't know for sure which Kaliev brother is currently in the NHL, but we know for sure that his girlfriend was not in attendance for tonight's game. However, he got a nice power play goal. Or he got a nice goal right as the power play expired. Later on, Marshall Rafai then fights Zach McEwen and put up a pretty good fight. I didn't feel good about the fight when Rafai dropped the mitts. I was a little worried because I don't think I would ever want to get in Zach McEwen's way. The man has a good flow and some hard fists. So props to Rafai for taking that. And then Ollie Leixell had a power play goal to make it 4-3. Yeah, the Senators within one. They came close a few times, but ultimately 4-3 win for the Toronto Maple Leafs for their first preseason game for both of these teams. Battle of Ontario. Tonight, as of the day I'm recording this, tonight is the 23rd, so there will be Leafs and Senators again tonight at 7, and I will be covering that. So thank you guys for listening. It has been Monty Puck with Straight Puck It Around, and I'll catch you in the next one.